Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this evening's guest moderator from MTV News, Josh Horowitz, and tonight's guest, Ashley Greene.
Good evening. Ashley Greene, audience,
Hello.
Ashley Greene. Thanks for coming out tonight, guys. This is a fun movie, CBGB. I got a chance to see this a while back. Congratulations on it, Ashley, and it's good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. CBGB, we're recording this here in New York City. I'm a New Yorker, born and bred, so CBGB, you can't help but know what that is, at least to a New Yorker. Did you have much awareness? Because I feel like depending on where you're from, your musical background, you may or may not know what CBGB is all about.
I was aware. I kind of missed the mark on that one, but then whenever the script was sent and I read it, of course I researched it and have kind of this new respect for it because it's just impacted so many people's lives and so yeah, I wasn't super familiar before I started.
So, I mean, the film, when you see the film, you'll understand what I'm saying in that it really conveys a lot of history, but it also conveys, I feel like, the spirit of the times, and that comes through in the way the director, I think, approached the film, the script, obviously, but just there's a real spirit of camaraderie and excitement and discovery in watching the film. Give me a sense of what your first, when you first encountered the script, again, kind of vaguely knowing what CBGB was, and then opening that script, what did you find in there that piqued your interest?
I think, well, first of all, my manager was like, "Oh my God, she's a music lover." She's like, "You have to do it." So I was already intrigued before I even looked at the script. But I think it's really well written and kind of in the course of an hour and a half really gives you an understanding of what went on behind the scenes, because I think a lot of people were familiar with the bar and kind of the movement that came from it, but not what it stemmed from and where it came from and that whole bit. And also, yeah, that there was a lot of, it was a crazy time and era, and punk, a lot of people think of, crazy antics and violence and all that thing. But there was a lot of camaraderie amongst all of these bands and Hilly. And so I think that kind of is what really interests me. And then talking to Randy and Jody and hearing their excitement was kind of contagious in what they plan to do with it. And so, yeah, I was super excited by the time I got there.
So you guys just saw the trailer for this, so you have a sense of sort of the amazing ensemble in this. Let's talk a little bit about that. So you have the key relationship in the film is really your characters and Alan Rickman's character, which is insane. He's one of the greatest living actors, and that's not hyperbole.
Ever.
That literally is, appropriate to say about Alan Rickman. You got him, you got Malin Ackerman, you got Rupert Grint, Justin Barth, a crazy, awesome cast. When you signed on to this, was Rickman attached? Did you know sort of the ensemble going in, or?
Yes, I knew that he was attached, and I was really excited to work with him. Also a little nervous because whenever you do have someone who's kind of a legend, you never know. You never know what they're going to think of you and what type of person they are, because I only know him from his work. But I was very, very excited about him, and I think a lot of the ensemble had already kind of been slotted in. So yeah, that was definitely an exciting part of it. And of course, my parents were like, "You're doing this." They love Alan Rickman. They were super excited, and so they came down to see me every weekend to see me.
So he is one of those guys that frankly, I was talking to you before. I'm going to be interviewing him later this week. That I feel a little intimidated by the notion of sitting across from him. And you always hear the cliche, or maybe it's not a cliche, from actors about you need to raise your game when someone like that is opposite you. I would think that is the case, though, that you feel like when you show up to set and he's sitting across from you, you better know your lines. You better know how you're going to approach the scene. Give me a sense of sort of how you kind of leave that behind and do your best work opposite someone like him.
Well, I think that it's important to me to meet the actor before we start shooting, rather than jumping just right into it, so that you do kind of get a bit comfortable with each other. And Randy and Jody set up dinners and stuff like that, so we could kind of chat a bit. That was extremely helpful. And yeah, it does, when you're working with someone like that, force you to up your game in a really positive way. And I kind of, I like to prepare like crazy anyways, but I kind of made sure, everything was perfect and I knew exactly how and, where everything was and kind of just prepped as much as I could possibly prep, so that whenever I did get on set, you do the work and then you can kind of leave it behind and just have fun.
Sure.
And he also, once we started working together, he's very, very positive and made me feel very comfortable, because I think, you know, it's kind of productive to be negative at all, and I think he probably knows that as well. So it ended up being, I mean, it really was a pleasure. It was really fun.
We do have a few scenes we want to share with you guys tonight as we continue the conversation and also take your questions. Let's take a look at this first clip from CBGB. I have to say, your hair is a lot better than Alan Rickman's in that scene.
Thank
With
you.
all due respect to Alan Rickman. So there are a couple things to talk about when you see a clip like this. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the nature of the relationship between Hilly and Lisa. How would you characterize the relationship in the film between the two of them?
Tough love, basically. They, you know, I think throughout the course of the film, you see that there definitely is a strain in the relationship, but it comes from a good place, and that was really important for both Alan and I to portray, I think, because, you know, Lisa and Hilly really did love each other, but they were so different in the sense of Lisa really was more the business-oriented woman, and Hilly was an artist and passionate and didn't really think much of money. He just kind of figured, you know, it'll work, it'll happen.
Right.
And so in order to keep this place open, they butted heads a lot, but had to kind of, in the end, work together to make sure that they kind of took care of both sides of things. So she was the adult a lot of times in the relationship, but yeah, definitely from a place of love.
Do accents come naturally to you? Obviously, that is not the speaking voice that I'm hearing today in that clip.
Or am I doing an accent now?
Is that the real one?
I mean, it might be. No, I am. Luckily, I got to speak with Lisa Crystal because she was one of the producers on set, and that was very helpful. But I do find that accents come pretty easily. I mean, they scare the hell out of me,
right,
because you either get them right, or if you get them wrong, it can help or hinder your performance. But we had a really fantastic vocal coach, and we had Lisa. So
one of the impressive things when you see the film that might surprise you is that you didn't shoot this in New York. You actually were able to replicate, because, you know, obviously CBGB does not exist anymore. That being said, elements of the bar actually do exist in stores somewhere, right? Is that the deal?
Yeah, we were really lucky. It was amazing for the actors, I think, because you really felt like you were in this bar. We weren't really pretending. We were able to get the actual bar from CBGB's. We were able to get the payphone, you know, a bunch of stuff here and there that really made it feel authentic, because we shot in Savannah, Georgia, and you would never know it. And it could not be further from New York, but when you stepped on set, it kind of transported you back.
It does feel like when watching the film, like I feel like I can smell what it smelled like there, and it's not a good smell.
Yeah, and it was very hot. Again, you have to take it and use it. So it was helpful, but yeah, the bathrooms are, I think, one of the things that we did really have to create, you know, with our set designer, and I'm extremely thankful for that, because it creeps me out even though I knew they were fake.
Right. Let's take another look at this great film, CBGB. Yeah, that is tough love. I guess you were right. That is the way to characterize.
Yeah, I mean, it comes out of sheer frustration that he just doesn't get it, and it's not a new thing that he doesn't get it. We've, you know, been through bankruptcies before because of the same thing, but he's kind of set in his ways.
Right. You also get a glimpse in that clip of Malin Ackerman. I mean, some of the impressive stuff in the film is seeing, you know, people playing some musical icons. Blondie, of course, The Police. Did you get? I mean, by the nature of filming, did you see a lot of these acts performing? And is that a little bit eerie to see recreations of these icons? Like Rupert Grint is totally transformed in this.
Oh yeah, I think. I mean, everyone did such a fantastic job, and everyone really looks the part, and generally kind of like give on one side or another if they look like the artist or sound like the artist and can act like the artist. So I think we got really, really lucky in that sense, and it was really, it was fun. It was cool to be able to be on set and see them actually perform and really go to these places and commit. I mean, Justin Bartha, when I saw him,
you've never seen him before.
Oh my God! When I saw his, I mean, he was great, and I have to give him props because it's brave to do something like that. But yeah, it was really interesting for me because, again, you know, I missed that time of CBGB and these performances, and so I kind of feel like I got to see them in some way.
Is music and singing something that's important to you? You're like virtually one of the only cast members. Even Rickman gets to sing a little bit in it.
I know.
Where's the love? What the hell?
God, guys, yeah, I didn't think about that. Jeez. No, apparently I auditioned and they said my voice wasn't good enough. So,
No.
yeah, no, she's the one character in the film I think that doesn't really wear leather and doesn't sing or perform. But it's not. That would make me really nervous. So I'm actually kind of thankful that my character didn't have to. I appreciate it, and I do. I love music. My parents love music, and we always had on the radio. We never had on the TV. But I would sing if I had to.
Okay.
And
it's not
I
on the
will sing
bucket
around
list.
people that I know, but yeah, not entirely comfortable.
Okay. Punk for many people obviously is something, whatever musical genre when you come of age that you grasp onto at first is so near and dear to you, and you live and breathe that music. What was your thing? Like when you were growing up, what was the kind of music that you grabbed onto and you were obsessed with?
I actually, until I was about 12 or 14, I lived on dirt roads, and my neighbors had horses, and so I was a little country bumpkin, and so I still have a love for country. I still listen to it on occasion. So that was kind of my first love of music, and then a bit of rock alternative because my mom kind of segued into that.
I noticed that you were at iHeartRadio recently too. So what's currently on the playlist? What are you into?
Of course, Muse. I think Matthew Bellamy is just insanely talented. So he's there. I actually put on Ray LaMontagne the other day. I have kind of everything possible on my playlist, and so it depends on what mood I'm in, because I think that's one of the great things about music and why so many people relate to it, because it's a powerful medium and it can kind of take you to any place you want to go.
Totally. 2 more clips I want to get to before we open this up to you guys out there. Here's another one from CBGB opening soon. I feel like there's love in that Rickman stare, that silent stare.
I love that scene. I thank God I was in character in that scene, because now every time I watch it, I can't help but laugh, because he is this grown man and captures that kind of adolescence so well. But I think that's actually probably out of most of the scenes in the film where you can most clearly see that it's such an opposite dynamic than what it's supposed to be, as far as one person being the adult and one person being the child.
Yeah, it's amazing to see, because I had a vague notion of who Hilly was, but to see sort of how dysfunctional he was in some ways, and yet was the guy that is in many ways responsible for creating a home for such a pivotal movement. It's a remarkable story. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really great to see, and to see everything that had to come together to make this happen, and how much, everyone has flaws, and he certainly had some, but everyone has this love for him, and everyone wants to help him, regardless, of his failure in businesses, and I think it comes from the fact that he really did come from a good place and a true place, and he was, he was always there for other people, and really a really phenomenal man. Oh, wow, we're in New York City, everyone.
You can tell we're in New York, yes.
Yes. So I'm glad that they kind of captured that on screen.
Totally. You mentioned before that Lisa, who you portray in this, is one of the producers. Have you ever played, first of all, a real-life person before?
No, I have not. And I think that the cast, we all had different pressures, as far as some people playing, iconic characters that people kind of already have this expectation of what the actor should do to portray them. And then, for me, playing Lisa was a bit daunting at first, because she, is still alive, and so I knew she was going to see it, and her daughter's around my age, and they were on set, and there was that pressure of wanting to make sure I got it right. And, in speaking with her, kind of getting this understanding of how important this portrayal was, and how important it was for people to see her father and the things that he did, and their relationship. At first it was very daunting, but then I think, it was really helpful, because she was so open and honest, and was kind of this encyclopedia for me to go to anytime I needed.
Totally, it's an invaluable resource. So was she on set literally every day, or did she come and go? Or
She wasn't there every day. I mean, she she lives here and she practices law, and so she had to go back and forth. But she, even if she wasn't physically on set, anytime I went to Skype or call, I mean, she gave me all of her information. So she was really incredible for me.
One more clip here from CBGB for you guys to take a look at. Here it is. I was going to say the mouth on you. Seriously, come on.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was not method.
So it's been nearly a year since we spoke about the end of Twilight, and I remember I felt like I was always talking to you about like how's it going to feel? How's it going to feel to all you guys? I felt guilty asking so many times. How's it feel now? So it's been almost a year. Do you feel like you have any perspective on it, or does it feel like just yesterday that Twilight was still happening?
It's no, it actually, I feel like it feels like it's been longer. Since we finished, I guess because we wrapped far before the film came out. But it's I feel good about it. I'm happy with the way that it went out, and there are times that I do miss certain aspects of it because it was such a huge part of my life, and I've been doing that longer than I haven't since I've been in Hollywood, and yeah, so there's parts I miss, but I'm looking at it now, extremely grateful to have been a part of it, but also I'm grateful that we are able to move on and move forward and do films like this and get to kind of hop into these other worlds and also for other people to see different work that we do. Because as much as, I loved playing Alice and being a part of that, there's also something I think, as with any artist, kind of this need to do different things as well. So yeah, I think I'm happy with it. And I just, what's so weird, actually, random, I was on Peter Petronelli's flight coming in. Like, he walked by me when I was on the plane. I was like, hey, I know you. I definitely know you. So that was a really nice run-in.
Are you satisfied with the kind of stuff, I mean, that you're getting opportunities to do? Do you feel like you have to be very proactive in chasing roles? I mean, you were just telling me backstage that, you're working on 2 films simultaneously recently. Yeah. Like, you're going after it. You're keeping busy on very different kinds of projects, which I guess you have to do.
Yeah, definitely. I right now it's all about being proactive, but also being patient and allowing yourself to say no to a lot of things, so that when that one yes comes, one, you're available to do it, and two, I think it's that much more powerful. And so I was very, very thankful to have just finished the 2 films that I did, especially because they were in the comedy world, and it's something that I've been wanting to get into. And I feel like, again, I'm comfortable enough to be able to wait for that piece to come along, because it is, it is hard whenever you want those real kind of heavy-hitting, gritty parts, because everyone else wants them as well. And it's a whole new ballgame for me right now. But I'm very happy with the way that things are shaping up.
Totally. All right. Enough of my silly questions. Time for your silly and smart questions. Let's go to you guys.
Hi, Ashley. It's nice to meet you. Loved you in Twilight.
Me too, thank you.
One question that I had was, did Lisa give you any advice on portraying her in the film? Like, that was really important that she wanted you to get across in the film.
Yeah, she gave me loads of advice and told me loads of stories. But I think that the thing that resonated with me most was that she really loved her father, and he loved her, and that amidst this crazy world and the arguments and the butting heads, that they really did love and care for each other. And that's why, no matter what happened, Lisa kept coming back. They always kept coming back into each other's lives. And so that was definitely the most important thing, I think.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
My question is, I was hoping you could talk a little bit more about your preparation for the role. You said you did a lot of prep, and just in terms of learning about the music and learning about the woman and everything, just more detail would be really interesting for me to hear about.
Sure, yeah. definitely had to do a lot of prep work because I wasn't super familiar with CBGBs. And what was very helpful that my acting coach was actually born and raised New Yorker, and she actually went there and knew a lot about it. And so she was able, every time we would speak, to give me a sense of how it affected her and her friends. And apart from that, I think, me and Lisa definitely we spoke on the phone and we had Skype sessions before we started. And I, before I spoke to her, wrote down everything that I knew from doing research on the internet, which is a beautiful thing for actors now to be able to have access to all of this. Researched the bands and then kind of even looked at, online, just people discussing CBGBs and how it affected them. And then kind of wrote down what my view on it was and then questions I had for her. And a lot of it for me, because, the movie is about the punk movement, but for me specifically and my character, it's more about kind of the heart and the relationship that she and Hilly had. And so it was a lot of questions about their home life and very... almost could have been invasive, and I'm really thankful that she was so open and so honest because she wanted me, to be able to get certain things across. And apart from that, definitely working on the accent with a coach because I think that's the one thing with talking to you don't know your own accent, you don't hear it, and so I couldn't really go to her for help with that, but. Speaking to her and then having someone on set to kind of say, okay, this is what you need to tweak was really helpful.
Since you learned a lot about all these bands that were that played there, not only the bands that are in the film, but the bands overall, what bands did you want to see or would you like to see? And of the bands that were portrayed in the film, who would you really like to meet of the real bands?
I think... Blondie would be very, very fun. The Police, I think it would be very interesting to meet the band members of the Ramones just because the portrayal of them in the film was very, very funny to me. But, because I wasn't super familiar, I kind of downloaded and have a lot of everything on there. I think, Blondie I'd be most interested to see perform.
Hello, Ashley.
Hello.
I would like to know, what is the best advice another actress or actor has ever given you?
The best advice another actor or actress has given me, probably that there's no right or wrong way to do something, and there's no blueprint per se, because I think, especially when I first moved out here, I got really lucky in the sense of when I was in Jacksonville, I took an acting class and fell in love with it and was able to get a manager and have them introduce me to agents and everything, just kind of fell into place. And when I did get out to LA, I took a million acting classes because, of course, there's not that much to offer in Jacksonville as far as the arts go in that aspect. I mean, they're working on it, but I think it's nerve-wracking and you don't really know what to do or where to go because there is no blueprint. You just kind of have to figure it out on yourself and figure out what works for you. And it's funny because I started seeing like certain things would just click for me, and I was like, oh. God, this makes so much more sense, and this is what works for me, and I don't have to do it this way, that this other actor that I worked with does, because I think it's kind of to each their own, and that's one of the beautiful things about art, is that you don't have to do it on anyone else's terms. Like, you kind of get to figure it out for yourself.
Hi. You've already had the chance to work with some really amazing actors, Michael Sheen, Alan Rickman, who is on your list. It doesn't matter what the script is, if they're attached, you definitely take it.
I think that it would be really interesting to work with Robert Downey Jr. because I think whenever I watch him, I kind of am able to get lost in his performance sometimes. the way in which he makes it seem so simple, but all of his performances are extremely nuanced. To me, it's a really fun thing to watch. So I would be interested to kind of see how he is on set.
Hi. What's it like working on a movie that's set in like such a pivotal moment in New York City history, like music history, and then coming to New York City today?
It was really fun to be able to kind of work and be able to be a part of this time and this movement and this place. Because I didn't get to experience it, and it's always fun to be able to kind of go back and be a part of that history, even though it's recreated. And being here, I always love coming to New York because I think that there's a reason why people love New York so much, and this is the only place that they could ever imagine being, because the energy here is incredible, and whenever I'm here, I feel like I want to be productive. I have to be productive. It's I think in the arts world, it's a really positive place to be because it just has so much to offer, and there is so much history here, and I love the fact that everyone here is driven and motivated and kind of has their own path and direction, and it's not a place where everyone's doing the same thing. I love LA, but it's predominantly models and actors as far as this industry goes, and here kind of you have a little bit of everything, and I really love that about New York.
And we have sirens going by. That always adds some character to Apple Store events too. I think those are all the questions we have from you guys, right? Okay, we've exhausted Ashley. Congratulations on CBGB. This is a great one. This is a great document for obviously CBGB is gone, so this is a way to relive the past in a fun way with some great performances from you and Alan and the cast. So thanks to Ashley Greene for stopping by today, guys.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.